Welcome to the Garage Network podcast. Join us and the occasional special guest as we discuss everything automotive, from fixing cars as a technician, owning an automotive workshop or business, overall work-life balance, and even the occasional laugh. In this episode of TGN Talks, we were joined by the young gun from Western Australia, Jack Mackay. We talk about his life as a young technician and also about his progression throughout his career. So we hope that you guys really enjoy it.
What's your day been like today, Jack?
Quite boring, really. Every year, at the same time, my boss usually goes to. Have you guys been to WA before?
No.
Oh, okay. There's a little island, like, I don't know, 20 k's off, like it's called Rottnest Island.
Oh yeah.
And my boss always goes there every year at the same time because it is dead. Like, it is just for some reason this week is just always it's always dead. So it's been pretty much standing around cleaning. I did an alternator on a Nissan Murano today. It's all right. I got a WM Statesman that's given us a bit of grief. It's been to like 3 other shops, and basically you can drive it in a straight line, or you can drive it left or right, and even in the workshop, if you load it up in drive, it will flash the ESP light, and it's got some pretty funky CAN signals, and I just can't really determine what is messing up the signal. Basically, I'm pretty sure that's what the issue is. But it's been to 3 other shops, and the guy really wants it fixed. So buried a few hours into it because I sort of didn't have much of a pathway or like a diagnostic route that I was going down. It's just got a bit lost. So it was just sort of wasted some time, and it's been stressing me out. It's really annoying me.
Yeah, we were literally just talking about, like, just before you came on, Jeff and I were talking about the difficulties of the communication stuff, right? Or like network faults and trying to work out. We were just talking about trying to work out a way. Like, it's got to be an easier way to work this out.
I'm sure there is, but it's probably one of those things. It's lots and lots of practice. I mean, if Jack was at his bay and a car's pushed in there and no start, he's got straight away. He's within 5 minutes. He's got some direction and he carries on. And I mean, and we all know Jack is a bit of a gun. It's probably fixed in 15 minutes with no parts. But with network diagnostics, it's just vast. I was actually, I'm going to name drop. I was listening to Sean Tippin's podcast on network diagnostics. I don't know if you've heard it, Jack. And he was discussing a Chrysler, some American-y thing. I don't know. I don't understand the American cars, but fans running all the time, and that's a common. I don't know. When I think of fans running all the time, I think of everything else but a network bus issue, and that was a CAN issue. And apparently it's a Chrysler thing. When it loses communication as a fail-safe, it switches the fan on. Yeah.
So I think even like in the older Commodores, like even I think in the LS1s, the WH Statesmans, and the early like 2000s, when they had the ABS modules failing, you would do the same thing, because it obviously is like having trouble to communicate. If it can't read the coolant gauge, the coolant sensor, then it would turn it on for that reason. But this thing doesn't turn the fans on. It's literally, it's perfect other than a flashing ESP light. It's really frustrating.
So go on, talk us through your process.
Honestly, I don't have. I've lost. It's been there since last week, and I reached out to the TAC guys for a bit of help with it, and like, it has a communication code. I think it's a C0561 a configuration error only in the ABS, and the guy had the gearbox built, and then he said that this happened just after, and it also logs a vehicle speed sensor fault, and the gearbox guys put a speed sensor in it, even though they said that's not going to be the drama. So another few people have looked at it, and when I thought about the configuration error, I thought, oh, maybe it just needed a software update or something along those lines. And I looked into the software on the SPS or AC Delco TIS site, whatever you want to call it, and it was all sort of up to date. And then a guy, Pete Hines, recommended to have a look if the VIN numbers were missing or incorrect in a couple of the modules. So we had a guy come out who has a Tech 2, and that was all sweet. And he sort of went through everything that, our Snap-on wouldn't do, and everything was looking sweet. Voltage drop tested the grounds, and that was all good. So I just sort of then put the breakout box in the OBD connector and just scoped the network, and it was doing some wacky stuff. It was mainly good a lot of the time, but just intermittently, it would be just all over the shop. And I was like, oh, okay, sweet, we're onto something here. But proving what is the actual issue is being pretty difficult. Also, that's right, I checked the alternator AC ripple, and it's massive, 800 millivolts peak to peak, and anything that I've ever learned was 300 peak to peak. On the Pico website, Gary Orion helped us out, and they say 500 millivolt peak to peak. We disconnected the alternator, and I took the belt off today to completely isolate it, and still no change. So it's not an alternator issue. So we tried to, I think with the GM stuff, when they do the CAN network stuff, they have 2 lines going in, high speed and low speed going in, and then also 2 going out. Sean Tipping, as we were speaking about, he calls it daisy chained network setup. So it's been pretty hard to sort of eliminate the ABS module out of it to keep the rest of the network intact. I tried to do that today, and the car ran and started with the ABS module disconnected, and the network basically plugged back into itself. But the network on the scope was not anything that I would expect to see. It was even worse. So potentially I was doing something wrong there, but at the same time, I thought if I was doing something wrong, then maybe it wouldn't even start at all, because if you disconnect it, then it's a no start, no crank or anything. So it must have been right to some degree, but yeah, just a bit confused at the moment.
It's that's one of those jobs that you're not going to fix. I mean, you will fix it, but you'll fix it when you lay in bed at 3 a.m. when you can't sleep. It'll be, you'll get that light bulb moment. I'm very confident that you'll fix it, Jack. But as I say, network diagnostics is something that certainly myself, I've not spent enough time dealing with. I think we can always fumble through and eventually fix it. We can't particularly charge the amount of hours that we've spent, but I don't know how you feel about it, Costa.
Yeah, look, if I had a rule really early on, if it's something where I've walked away and I've learned something from that job, tells me that I've spent probably more time than I probably should have, which also then tells me I'm happy to work with the customer regarding, if it took me 8 hours, in reality, maybe it should have taken me 3. Well, I can work with a customer there. Probably won't go away and charge the whole weight, because in the day, if I've learned something, that's priceless to me. And number 2, it's not really the customer's fault that I didn't know what I was doing at the same time.
Yeah.
That's how I feel sometimes. And look, that could be wrong. Other people want to charge for a minute, and that's also fine. But yeah, I'm all right to eat some hours if I can walk away with a bit of knowledge.
Yeah, I agree with that, Costa. I think, but at the same token, if you fixed it and potentially 10 other guys couldn't have fixed it, do we need to be like charging all those 8 hours? Because that's what it took.
I'd be happy with whatever you feel comfortable with. You know what I mean? I don't have a preference either or.
Yeah.
But that was just a little, like a overview of like a little rule that I always had. If we walked away and we learned something, well, that's for me. I can't put money to that because next time round, I know now how this works. You know, and look, I always feel guilty when, and it is what it is. I always feel guilty when I've taken far longer than I thought it should have taken, because there is someone out there that knows how to fix this faster, you know, and that could be just me. That's maybe the way that I'm programmed myself.
I think that too.
You know, so I do have that as well. But yeah,
I think as long as you're being fair, and you know, and I can't
still make money.
I can't, you know, tell you what is fair and what isn't. If you think it's fair and you can sleep at night, you know, you're doing right. You know, you're charging the customer right, as long as you can. You know, if you've been honest, you've done your tests, and you know. But
what I won't do. Sorry, just to cut you off. So what I won't do, I won't drop my hourly rate, but what I will do, I just charge less hours. You know, yeah. Sorry, Jeff.
If you've got your, you know, your, I don't want to name drop names.
Don't name drop.
You know, your automotive superstore speak and spell code reader, and you know, a test like that you found in your dad's shed or something, and you know, you try and charge somebody $1,000, you know, for something very simple. Yeah, but then you do need to change how you're working and how you're charging. But you know, I certainly know, you know, how active you are on the garage network and the inputs and the comments that you do. You know, if it took you 8 hours, I think that's going to be a quite realistic time.
Yeah. I think it's buried about 8 hours into it at the moment. So, my boss went to a course one time, and they said, like, at some point there needs to be a time where you need to, if you're like at a dead end and you sort of have lost your direction, then as wrong as it sounds, like maybe there's time to put a part in there, something that you know, you're pretty sure, or you have a lot of confidence, you think you're on the right track, but not guaranteed, then maybe it's time to change that part, you know.
Jack, look, I'll agree. I'll to a certain extent. Like if I'm, and I think we've discussed before, Jeff. Like if I'm potentially thinking it's a coolant temp sensor, and that temp sensor is $23, am I really going to spend 1.5 hours to try and prove it works?
Yeah.
Like for me, what's cheaper, 1.5 hours or 0.2 of an hour with $23 a pass? Like,
yeah.
I think you know, engine management, or you know, sensors like that is slightly different to.
It is different.
CAM diagnostics, but I do think if you was to go to the moon with a good telescope, you will see a pile of crank sensors, CAM sensors, airflow meters, O2 sensors that have been replaced that didn't need to be replaced. You know, and
I got a question, guys. So you mentioned or cheapo scan tools or plug-in OBD readers, right? Have you ever had a customer come in and say, "This is the code. I've checked it on the internet. I've got to change this part. Wait a minute." But they're then like, look, you discount that because obviously you don't know what you're talking about, but then they're right. What do you do? You just charge them 2 hours to tell them they're right the whole time. How does that sucks? I've done that before. Look, you were right. That'll be 2 hours.
I actually saw a list, and I'll try and post it so, you know, we can post it on the podcast or YouTube or whatever.
Question, has it ever happened first?
Oh,
I'm joking.
I dare say yes. I dare say I've had something similar. You know, it's not a list; it's a scroll.
Yeah.
It's a whole book worth.
I remember, because you're taking me back now. I remember because I've always been sort of a tall, lanky, whatever. I got told off because I moved somebody's seat, and he had a special wedge of wood. I don't know what this wedge of wood did in it, and it was I don't know what we call it over. It was a Volkswagen Type 25, so it's like a brick on wheels with a water-cooled flat 4 engine. Okay. But I think we changed the heater pipes front to rear, which was a pig of a job. Anyway, he told me off. I got a dressing down in the workshop. Where's my wedge of wood? He told me off for his wedge of wood. I'm like, are you actually joking me? Yeah, long time ago. But I did see a post on, I think it was a UK mechanics page, and it was a list, and it looked like somebody just attacked Just Ask all these different things, and wiggle wire here. I nearly shared it on the Garage Network. I kind of wish I did. I will find it and I'll send it to you guys just to have a bit of a laugh at. But yes, I think we've all had the list of this is what I think it is.
You know where you can buy to solve your tall lankiness? They've got, have you seen the little the seat markers, little stickers? So it's pretty much 2 arrows up and down, right? So you stick one on the actual.
So if people are listening to this on a podcast, I'll narrate. Costa's just poking his 2 fingers together.
Yeah. So if you picture,
I wasn't going to say anything.
Yeah. Well, guys, get out of the gutter. Come on. We'll get to that after we stop recording. So you picture 2 arrows. So one goes on your actual seat, and the other one goes on the on your, like, the scuff plate. When you get into the car, and just locates where the seat is, so you can move it around.
That's really handy. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put that in the things that I just do not care about in my life.
Yeah, that's a pretty full bag already, though. So I don't know if you're going to.
It's not my fault you can't afford a car without memory seats. What can I say? No, I don't mean that.
I have no problem moving seats back, and everyone's different heights. I wouldn't move the backrest or the wing mirrors or the rear vision mirror or not, but you got to be driving the car comfortably. I got no dramas moving it back and leaving it back. I'm almost 6 foot. I think I'm about 6 foot. So we have a lot of short people around here for some reason.
Do you know? I actually think that my missus was talking to me the other day. I was driving a car, and she was like, "You're not uncomfortable?" And I was like, "Nah, I'm used to driving, weird cars with my nose touching the steering wheel or whatever." I think that guy, and he was actually called Mr. Taylor. I think Mr. Taylor, and he was like some form of college tutor. I think he like an English teacher or something like that. So it all makes sense. I think that stopped me moving driver's seats ever again. Yeah, I just thought, do you know what? I'm not having that crap anymore.
Yeah, I'll just driver's seats.
Just struggle.
Yeah, we don't move driver's seats. We always used to get complaints about. That was probably the only complaint we always used to get about the seat. Oh, now I have to, guys, it's either forward or backwards. It can't be that hard. But we would just stop moving them around.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, there you
go. Mechanics fixed in 3 minutes.
There you go. All right, so I reckon for the guys that are listening, probably a pretty good opportunity to maybe learn a little bit about the wonder from down under, the young gun. What other name do we have for him? The whiz kid. I'll think of more as we go along. Don't worry. Maybe we get to learn a little bit more about you, Jack.
Who is Jack?
Who is Jack?
Setting all these guys up for serious disappointment, Costa.
You can lie. No one knows.
I'm going to admit, Jack the winner.
Yeah, Jack the whiz.
Jack the winner.
If there's ever another TGN Tech Tips, I've already got the winner. I'm not giving it up.
I feel like it's going to be a Commodore. Solution. Yeah,
could be a winner. Could be a winner. Yeah.
No, so I guess a little bit about me. I'm originally from the UK, like you, Jeff.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I don't think I have an accent. Some people say
No,
I do.
you've got an Australian twang to me there, but
We won't hold it against you, Jack.
Thanks, Costa.
Hang on a minute. We don't know whereabouts in the UK is from yet. This might be a short podcast.
No, I'm from Nottingham originally, which is like right in the middle.
No comment.
We basically moved over here when I was like 10 years old, and I'm 28 now. So, I've never been back to England, and pretty much look at Australia as my home. Went to school in a local area around here, and then did year 12, and after that sort of got into mechanics straight away, probably based on the fact that I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but my brother was a mechanic. He's 2 years older than me, but he sort of took a year off after school, so there's only like a year's difference in our trades. And I started at an exhaust shop and was just like trying to do fabricating, and they did a bit of mechanical, but not really sort of what I wanted to sort of do. And me and the boss, we didn't really get on too well. To be fair, I wasn't concentrating at TAFE or stuff like that. Just sort of mucking around and thought it was, a big joke. But I just, even in school, I was never really a good learner. And I wish now I would listened at school. It's insane. If you're young and listening to this.
Science and maths. I wish I concentrated a bit more.
Absolutely. You don't realise at the time, but it would have been, useful for sure. So I did a couple of years at the exhaust shop, and me and the boss sort of fell out because of the TAFE scenario. And I walked across the road to where my brother was working, and at our current workplace. And my brother was on holiday at the time. I said, I've just been let go. Do you want me to work for you for a couple of weeks while my brother's away? And the boss was like, oh yeah, for sure. And just sort of stayed on and finished my apprenticeship there, and just sort of wanted to like better myself and get faster at being a mechanic. And I hadn't really dabbled in diagnostics or even like sort of fixing cars like the right way. Like for the likes of you guys, Dana, I didn't even know anything about that until, only a few years ago. Every time that there would be an electrical issue, I would be interested in it or like want to know how it worked, but it would always be sent down the road. So I would like go and talk to the auto sparky and ask him what he did to it basically. And he was always pretty helpful. He's still there now, and we sort of diagnose cars together. He's the one that sent up that statesman that's given us all that grief. So maybe I don't like him that much.
So the auto electrician, which you were like looking up to, is now sending you work. I kind of like that.
That's mad.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
and I don't mean that in a dick swinging way. I don't know.
It just shows pretty solid progression, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, it's really nice, honestly. Like we have good chats, and he's always got time for me, and he's really, really switched on and has helped us out a lot. So it's really good. And then I sort of lost my track. I think then I sort of got onto the garage network, and I was on the other page, the Valhalla Industries, because Dan that does the training came over to WA, and I'm pretty sure you guys are on there as well. I remember seeing you guys on the garage network, and honestly, I embarrassed myself so much with being like just asking for silver bullet sort of stuff. And at the time, it was like I could feel it was embarrassing for me, and that I should know more. But like being in the shop and needing to get the car fixed at the same time, and not to like toot my own horn, but I'm the only sort of person that does that diagnostic stuff or likes to get into it, I was really struggling with it. So that's why I sort of was reaching out online all the time. And then eventually I got put onto Scanner Dana and we fell in love.
Hang on a minute. You're getting paid. Are you getting paid here, Jack?
That was awesome. It was like the ending of a perfect love story. That was excellent.
Look, I'm gonna drop Costa in it here. But before I mention that, Nottingham in the UK is the only place in the UK that has a Hooters. Interesting fact. And I've been anyway. When I first met Costa, many it feels like it was 25 years ago. Costa didn't have a clue who Scanner Dana was.
Didn't know.
Do you remember? I was just embarrassed.
Well, look, I'll be honest. Like, I probably didn't even start getting into proper diagnostic stuff till my late-ish 20s, I reckon. I'm 35 now. And look, similar to you, like, you know, if it was something electrical, the electrician would come out and fix it, or we had a diag guy that would come out and actually diag for us. Like, we did all that. Even though I ran the business, it was like one of those things where one, I wasn't overly confident. Probably a big thing, always into the pumps. I never even felt like I had the time to learn it. Yeah. So the easy way out was always just call the diag guy who'll come and sort it out.
You've got to bear in mind, if you've got 10 cars sat in the car park that all arrived at 8:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, you could be spending 8 hours on this CAN network fault, and you've still got to get them jobs out for 5 o'clock.
That was the issue, right? Yeah,
and it's a very hard balance. You know, it's hard to deal with, and you know, I can see why some people maybe not ask for. I'm not going to say the word silver bullet, but you know, maybe some guidance, and you know, there's probably always some more tests that they can have carried out before we ask. But look, you know, when you're under the pump, it just happens. You know,
look, with silver bullets, right? I think that there's a fine line between a silver bullet because people are too lazy to do any testing, or people that don't know how to do the testing. I've got time for people that don't know how to do the testing, right? Maybe they have to word the question better rather than what fix. Maybe what do I change? Maybe what do I test and how do I test it? All the time in the world, I will call you. We can have a chat. If I don't know, we'll try and put you on someone who does know. If you're willing to give it a go and you just don't know where to start, I don't consider that a silver bullet at all.
Yeah.
For me, the silver bullet is P code. What do I change? And then you say, well, have you tested X, Y, Z, and there's no response? Or have you, you know, if a lot of the guys are asking, have you tested X, Y, Z? No. How do I do that? Different conversation. Well, let's try and work through it.
Yeah, you know? For sure.
So there's a bit of a difference than, you know, no, just tell me what to change. Well, that doesn't really exist.
But look, I think I've definitely been there. I'm going to hold my hands up, but I've 100%. I've had that car on my hoist, and I'm like, will somebody please just tell me what's wrong with this car?
Yeah,
you know,
100%.
And it's going to happen again. It's going to happen again. You know, I'm very lucky to be part of a network. Do you know what? I'd probably ask Jack. You know, like Jack, I've got this. You know, I'd ask. There's a few people that I'd probably speak.
Well, Jeff? How many times when I'm driving to a job, I will call you on the way to the job as I'm driving along, like, hey, this car's got these symptoms. What do you reckon I should test first? You know, daily almost. You know, it happens all the time. It happens all the time. You know,
no, it's good to. Me and Costa were talking while Jack was putting his little one to sleep, and we were talking about how it's easy to not see the wood for the trees, and I kind of made an analogy of, you know, not that I do jigsaws because I'm dead young, but you know, if you're doing a 1,000-piece jigsaw and you're looking at it and you're trying to find an edge piece, and then somebody walks past and like it's right there, right in front of you all the time. It's kind of like that, you know. And it's easy to miss the basics. It's so easy to miss the basics in this job.
Yeah.
So ring me in the morning, Jack. I'll fix that Commodore thing over the phone. I don't know anything about Commodores. It's just a weird looking car to me. It's not a Volkswagen.
Yeah. I think when you say about basics, like, it's so important. Honestly, all the guys that I ever listened to, or like a lot of the faults or whatever it may be, they're either saying master the basics, go over the basics, or it ends up being a basic fault. And like say, you look past that, you just go deep in diving into it. And
that's it. It needs a pump. It needs this. It needs that. And you're changing the part, and you're like, I hope I'm right. It's a $2,000 high pressure pump or something. It's like, I hope I'm right. Otherwise, this is going to be awkward.
But Jack, I think you're right, mate. Because, like, I'll be honest, because I do some tech apprentice training, tech training, whatever you want to call it, with the college in Sydney, and I reckon since I've had to do that and had to relearn the basics, because I think we've spoken about this before, had to relearn those basics. It's made me such more efficient in diagnosing cars, because how does that work again? Or what is that? It's like, no, it doesn't matter. Current here, current there, voltage here, voltage there. Where's the earth? Like, the basic fundamentals eliminates so much of maybe it's this, maybe it's that, because sometimes it's impossible what you're thinking. It can't happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I get what you're saying. I'm trying to do a auto electrical certificate. I think it's Cert 3.
Yeah, cool.
So I think at the end of it, we'll get like a dual trade.
Awesome.
But over here, it will have to be a night course. I don't have any time in the
Same
day. Okay. Yeah, cool. So we're just trying to. Do you have the MTA over there?
We do. But TAFE was doing them for a while, but we had to get a certain amount of people sort of on board.
Yeah.
But we're looking at doing it like through a TAFE. So again, then they pretty much want you to get the numbers, and then they'll come and work their magic. Yeah.
That's exactly sort of what is happening over here. The guy that when I did my apprenticeship at the business that I'm at now, I didn't actually go back to TAFE. They did come out and did like one-on-one learning I think it might have been like every 6 weeks. It was a while ago now. So that guy who was my TAFE lecturer is now the head of the MTA. So I sent him a quick message, and hopefully he's trying to tee it up for us. So that's good.
Oh, it's good to have in the hat. It's a good feather to have in the hat, definitely.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to touch this as well. So obviously, like, I know you've been with us on the network for a couple of years now, or it feels like it anyways. And I'll be honest, we're talking about this earlier as well. Like, even the level of assistance you've been giving, and even the quality and content of your posts that you're making, you can definitely see your projection of skill level sort of climbing up. I think we've spoken, a few guys I've spoken with it about. Now, what do you contribute that to? Like, are you spending extra time on sort of reading, or are you just doing more? Where do you think that the best improvement's coming from?
Honestly, I watch a lot of YouTube. Like, I did when I first started getting into it. I got a subscription to Scanner Danner, and I did a lot of his classroom learning. Lately, because we've had Bo, our little boy, it's like been a bit hard with time and stuff like that, and working 6 days, it's just sort of been a bit full on. So it's sort of not been put on the back burner, but haven't been doing his classroom learning. So I've just been watching the online case studies and stuff like that. And you can just even from the Garage Network, just like reading people's posts. And before, when I was younger and at school or at TAFE, I would never put my hand up, and I would always be afraid to sort of make a fool of myself because I don't consider myself smart at all. So I would like never put my hand up for like, I didn't want to be embarrassed and getting the wrong answer and looking like a fool. And then for some reason, I can't really remember when it was, like our training that we do over in WA, I just sort of put my hand up and I was just like, you know what, effort, I'm going to start just, even if it's the wrong answer, who cares? I don't like, it just sort of, I just sort of stepped out of my little bubble, and I think that's helped me grow a lot. Like I beat myself down over this CAN network thing, but if I went back 3 years, I wouldn't even know where to start. Yeah. And I sort of sometimes need to like remember that. But it's just like reading and, you know, talking to people. My wife is like always like, can you just get off your phone? I'm like reading stuff. Like,
it's not just you then. I get told off.
Yeah, good. Surely everyone does. So I'm going to make her listen back to this. So if you guys could back me up here real quick.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely all of us. Absolutely.
Yeah. So honestly, but I got a long way to go. Like, I know we all like continue learning every day, and there's always new stuff. Like cars are obviously changing year by year at probably a speed faster than what we can even learn them at, I would almost imagine. So you just have to keep up to date with it. It's funny, like when I was at that exhaust shop, and even though it sort of wasn't what I wanted to do, he said something, and it was, do you want to be just your normal mechanic, or do you want to be like not better than everybody else, or do you want to be just like, you know, better than your average mechanic, you know? And I mean, that's always stuck with me. And I thought, yeah, actually, I don't just want to be, you know, just a fitter or whatever. You know, it's nice to have some knowledge. And now having Bo, one day he's going to ask me questions and I need to be able to answer them like no dramas. You know, if he wants to know how something works, I feel like I need to be able to tell him how it is. So
I like that.
Yeah, it's really nice. Look, definitely you have to know that the progression is not getting, it's not going unnoticed. You can definitely see it. And like it's definitely really good. I feel it's helping a lot of the guys that are on there. I think it's not nonsense. So you always have a helping hand. And I think people are definitely benefiting from that as well. So, I mean, you getting better in what you're doing is also helping a lot of others as well.
Thank you. Yeah, a lot. Honestly,
it has been noticed by other members as well. Yeah. You know,
I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus, but a couple of guys have actually told me that they've noticed your progression. So I think, we even sent you a shirt out, like saying like that's why, like you're killing it, you're doing well.
I'm wearing that shirt now. I appreciate it.
You got to represent that. Yeah,
makes me look good.
Yeah. Oh, it's not the shirt. It's not the shirt.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Honestly, people who have said such nice things to me, and you know, I try not to let it get to my head and like blow it up. Like it's a little bit hard. It makes you feel good. But like people have helped me out with stuff, and I just sort of try to give back what bit I know. You know, if I can help somebody out, then why not?
Beautiful. Love that. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well done.
So do you want me to get you a silver bullet for the Commodore?
Honestly, if
I'll take anything.
If anybody's run into that before, hit me up.
Yeah. We're going to see tomorrow morning a post by Jack. So I've got this.
Well, hang on a minute. We don't know when we're going to put this podcast out, so you're going to have to leave on the back burner.
It might be a couple of weeks.
Because I don't know. Maybe we should, depending on what the fix is, maybe we should have a chat about that, Jack, and you know how you did it. I was sorry to throw you under the bus as soon as you started talking. Tell me how you got to where you.
Are you joking me right now? I'm here struggling.
Well, if like I think I'm okay with cars, petrols, diesels. I'm certainly no trans guy, but if something was to, I'm not going to say scare me, but if it was something that would be like, I need to make sure, I've got my ducks in a row, it would be a network faults.
Yeah.
Don't know why that is. Maybe it's something I've made in my own head, and certainly listening to, I think Sean Tippin should be paying me now, but certainly listen to Sean Tippin's podcast. It sort of definitely aided me in how I want to approach a network fault. And it's going to change depending on what you're working on, whether it's got a secure gateway and things like that. It's going to change. We need to be on this and get ready to fix this stuff, and instead of sending it to dealers. You won't send it to dealers. You're going to fix it, and I'm really excited for you to fix it as well. Let's go now. Let's take the camera and go live.
Yeah. Are you near the car now? Let's go work it out.
Nah, honestly, I don't want to see that. I've got my mate's wedding in a couple of days. I'm really looking forward to getting out of that shop, away from that thing.
I like it.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, I asked Sean a question today. If a car was to pull up in your bay, what car is the one that's like just wants to make you, jab yourself in the eyeballs with a dirty screwdriver?
So you're saying what manufacturer? Is that what
what car?
Okay.
Okay. So
just manufacturer.
I'm not. I don't like. I don't know. I like the challenge for some reason. Like if I see that there's a check engine light written on the job card, I'm like, I want to go and see what that is. But then, like halfway through it, I'm like, why did I do this? Like,
what about if it's a check engine light on a Peugeot?
Oh yeah, I didn't think Peugeot.
I was about to say tomorrow on Jack's Hoist, Peugeot, Citroen, Renault,
Fiat,
intermittent no stop Fiat. Why would you even
intermittent U codes? Yeah.
Oh, thanks for that.
New battery and send it. Yeah.
A lot of the time, honestly, it's yeah, no, I don't really like that French sort of stuff. Even their oil filters are terrible.
I feel like tonight Jackson going to be wake up like 3 a.m. Peugeot, no.
I missed that. What?
And do you like your diesels as well?
Yeah, we do petrol and diesel stuff. I've got a diesel Hilux myself. I like working on them. I don't mind doing both petrol or diesel. I'm not sure what it is. I just like to try and figure it out.
There's a bit of passion now. I can sense the passion for something on 4 wheels. As long as it's not French. We've worked out that you don't do French.
I don't know. I don't even know where it sort of like really came from, other than I guess maybe being embarrassed from not being able to fix it. Maybe that's where the passion sort of really started, when you could see what other guys are like really achieving and what they're doing, and it's just like, Jesus, I really knew nothing when I thought I knew quite a lot. You get humbled very quickly. You don't have to look very far to see people doing really top work.
Yeah, look, I think meeting the many people that we've met over the last few years personally, it's definitely humbled me. It's like when you meet some of these guys and you're like, yeah, right, I've got a lot of learning to do, boy. I've got a lot of learning to still do, But look, I think that can happen easily, especially when you're one of the only guys in the workshop that's doing the diagnostic stuff. I think you can very easily inflate that head a little bit, until
they make it easier on
Rob
YouTube.
Romano comes out with 18 scopes, and you're like, I'm shit. I mean, I need to learn more.
Yeah. Honestly, Rob's a good bloke. He's always he always helps me out, giving me advice, and we've spoken we've met in we live a little bit away from each other, but we've met face to face a few times and spoken on the phone and forever messaging each other. I feel bad for him sometimes because I'm not very good at like communicating what I'm thinking, especially over text message. He must just be going, "What's this guy on about?"
You're doing well. You're doing well.
He's a bit of a champion, is Rob.
Yeah. I remember I was talking to my brother the other week about, I posted that post on the Garage Network, the poll about what was poor quality electrical components that nobody uses. And it was just the most like unprofessional way I questioned this question. And later I was like, what the hell was that all about? Like, I got to rewrite that. That was shocking, honestly. It's just terrible sometimes, but maybe I was in a rush or something.
Look, I think it's very easy to not write what you're saying. Trust me, when I've got to write something that's a bit more detailed, I look at the screen for 20 minutes before I post it, just because, like you said, I'm okay when I have to communicate and talk. When I have to write what's in here, it doesn't look the same. It doesn't look the same.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah. Honestly, sometimes it's very frustrating.
Yeah. Jeff's always perfect, though.
Look, I do feel like I need the, the Stephen Hawking voice box thing. I can just sit there chilling, and like have this little speaker speak for me.
Yeah. Do you know that's not how he works, right? He wasn't just chilling. You know that, right?
No, he's just chilling. He's just chilling, thinking about the planets,
And that's how we got banned off
He's
Spotify.
Thinking about network bus diagnostics.
That's what.
I tell you what, I bet you Stephen Hawking couldn't fix it, Jack. Remember that. Just remember that. When tomorrow, when you're back at the Commodore, Stephen Hawking probably can't fix it.
He knows perfectly how the universe works, but he would not be able to fix this state.
Yeah. So, and I think everybody should think about when they're getting stressed. If they've got a car, diesel won't start, whatever. Stephen Hawking can't fix it, but you can. Just take your time and. I don't encourage smoking, but have that 5 minutes, have a coffee or a water, and take a chill pill.
Yeah, I feel like every diagnosis maybe that gets completed and goes out, it's like another one that you can sort of put behind you, and it's like a little bit more experience, 100%. Where the next one might be a little bit easier, hopefully. Unless it was this statesman, but it's all experience and learning, and
100%.
It is what it is. It's a lot of stress. For some reason, if I'm really stuck on something, I might come home and try and watch a YouTube video on it, or not that it's exactly the same, but sort of try and gather the same sort of principles on maybe how it's working, educate myself a little bit better, so the next day I have a better plan of what I'm going to do to the car, or
Very clever.
I really need to do is test more known good cars. I think that's my biggest issue. Everybody says test known good cars, and I just have not been doing that. So
it's hard in a workshop environment. Look, I agree that's awesome if you can, but in most workshop environments, finding the time to test cars that are good, let alone cars that are not good, like it's hard to, if you can, excellent. Yes, I agree, but in the real world, it's quite hard to get that time. I find for myself, anyways.
Even just having. It'd be lovely for every car that comes in your shop, you do a cam and crank correlation. It'd be lovely, but it's unrealistic. I definitely think, and yet again, listening to another well-known automotive podcaster discussing mass airflow meters. Yet again, if you stand on, if you're on the moon with a good telescope, you will see a pile of mass airflow meters that didn't need replacing on Earth. Understanding, I think it's a bit of a rule of thumb. I think Mike's discussed the rule of thumb about, how to have a very rough gauge on mass airflow. But look at some good information. OBD, it's all going to be the same, and you're going to get something out of it.
Look, to be fair, that little booklet of little list of sort of known good OBD that you and Mike sort of put together, definitely of a couple of weeks ago, that Swift, like that was bang on, like that was out by like 50%, which was enough to damage the cat and do all that sort of stuff. So, I mean, there's a space for it. There's definitely a space for
it. It does change I think it's more accurate the bigger the engine. For this is just taking mass airflow, an example. It's just more accurate the bigger the engine, and we're now switching to smaller, smaller capacity, high output engines, which is
but again, once you can start to understand the relationship between, I think we spoke about this, the O2, the air mass meters, and how they sort of work in conjunction, you can get to the bottom of, and fuel trim, like with those three PIDs, you can get to the bottom of a lot of drivability stuff that won't have engine lights, or even they do or whatever, right? But with those three PIDs, if you understand how the O2 sensor is meant to be working, and, your high voltage means, there's a high difference from inside, outside of the exhaust, etc. Your how much air mass should be coming in, then your fuel trims as well. Well, I mean, those three pieces for drivability stuff are gold. And it took me a while took me a bit of time to figure out individually what they did, but then actually being able to see them together as a 3-part, like these are all in relative to each other, it made such a big difference for me with all those drivability faults.
Still don't think any of us use EOBD as we should do.
Correct.
But do you use EOBD much, Jack?
I do. I found I find on like Subarus, you pretty much have to. All the generic Subaru stuff, the manufacturer specific one in our scan tool is always pretty slow. So for Subarus, like fault clearing, I use the OBD sort of stuff on that. If it's in if I'm looking at something and it's in terminology that, I'm not 100% familiar with, I'll go to OBD2 and have a look. It might just make things a lot easier, with fuel trims and that. So, but yeah, I mean, sometimes there can be so much information, it's almost overwhelming in some cases too. Not in OBD2, but in the manufacturers.
I was playing with a new G-Scan the other day, and just to be, every tool's like this, but I was just looking at this massive information. I was getting cross-eyed trying to work out what I was trying to find. I'm flicking through all this data, and sometimes EOBD it's just, I don't know. I think because I've used it quite a lot, it's kind of my go-to if I've got an emissions related problem.
You see, I was never taught with even looking at EOBD for this. Only the whole using EOBD was after speaking with you guys. Like, I don't think no one's actually sat me down and said, "Hey, this is the way you look at things." But I'm glad that someone did.
Yeah, I last week when we were speaking and we were talking about the manometer, Jeff, and honestly, I swear, if you put it out there, it comes in. And I was literally the next day we had a car with a DPF issue, and I was like, "Is that got to be a joke?"
Who sent this?
I was like, "Jeff, you in here?"
Sorry.
No, he can't cross the border.
So he fell out of the box. It was I sold heaps of them, and it was the only one that brass fins fell out of the box. Cost me dearly that, by the way. But yeah, I mean, come on, a good tech would have made something work.
Yes.
Jack. I bet you did.
So did you work out the DPF issue?
So I just had a new DPF installed by the exhaust shop that I used to work at, and they couldn't clear the DPF flashing light, or the DPF light was illuminated, then check engine light was flashing.
Yeah.
Or the other way around, can't remember. And basically, we just needed to tell the PCM that they had it was literally a brand new DPF. It looked like it was from Subaru. And then, funnily enough, like in Subaru, you cleared the codes. So it had soot overfill limit. And then once I relearned it and then cleared the codes through Subaru, in the codes, sorry, I'm sort of backtracking. In the codes, it said current fault and history fault under the same code. And in Subaru, it cleared the current fault, but wouldn't clear the history fault, even though it was the same fault code. So going into the OBD, EOBD, and then clearing the emission-related data, got rid of that. So not sure whether that's like if we use a snap-on scan tool, whether it's an issue with that.
It might just be the way it does it. The snap-on may not clear I have noticed that on some Subarus, the snap-on not as information packed.
Do you know when I used that G scan, it was actually on a Subaru. I couldn't find a tool that would complete the regen. And it wasn't
pretty tricky.
It wasn't the car kicking it out. My favorite ever tool kept losing Bluetooth connection. So it wasn't like the conditions not met. I used the workshop's tool that was just a doorstop, and one of my customers had just bought the new G scan, and it just smashed through it. And we obviously did all the checks first to make sure. If there was no underlying faults, check the differential pressure sensor. I was adamant it was going to have an intake leak, because Subarus normally always do. I think they've fit it. I think they've put that in as standard, and I couldn't find it.
For free.
I even pulled. I was like, I don't believe the smell test. I don't believe it. It's full of shit. I even pulled the intercooler off. I mean, it's quite easy to do anyway. But I was like, I can't believe it. It's just not split. This must have been fixed from fixed after came from the factory. But big up to the new G scan. I don't know if a snap-on does it. I do have a snap-on tool, but it's in a box under the spare bed.
You can just send that to me if you want.
Yeah, I was going to say, where's your spare bed?
I tell you what, you don't want to. You probably do want to see what's under my spare bed, actually, Jack. But there's a WPS, a first look sensor, and there's a couple of other bits and pieces as well.
Sorry, is that a UK thing? Do you guys just invite each other under your beds or something? It's just strange, guys.
Yeah, Costa, do you want to know what's under my bed?
Yes.
Yes, I thought you would.
Okay, if there's a WPS under there, I'll come.
Yeah. Is like a creepy creepy hand clown? Yeah, I'm still coming.
How did Jack get from WA to the Northern Beaches in like 25 minutes? Yeah. Yeah, it was like
that's how you learn mechanics in these days. You got to have a Pico.
Yeah. Actually, it reminds me, you got to come and set mine up, Jeff.
Yes, but I was listening to another podcast today. So the last few days, I've been doing lots and lots of Ks, and today I went up to the Central Coast to Andy O'Sullivan's workshop. Great guys there.
Shout out to Andy.
Shout out to Andy and Mitch. And so I can only listen to so much Megadeth. So I've been listening to the podcast, and I have to and fro's. I'll go back to Megadeth next week or something. But Picos. There was a discussion on Picos, and I do think sometimes it's overkill to get the Pico out. If you're testing, there's lots of testing that can be done with a test light, multimeter, your eyes, and your scan tool, live data. But I really think when I've been in a position where I've had to do so much diesel work, so much petrol work, and I have done it, doing compression tests, which would take 2 hours to, oh shit, it was a bit of a gamble. Your car didn't have low compression, but I'm charging you 2 hours. Whereas you're done in a few minutes. It takes you longer to find a fuse to do a compression test with a Pico. And I just think that's such a great time. It's one of my favorite tests. And it looks good as well. Come on, it makes like nice green graphs. Who doesn't like that?
It does.
I love that.
I mean, you Snap-on does and your Autel and any other brand does. Any scope is a good scope. But I just really love the Pico. I think that we've got the support worldwide. You can ask anybody a question, and there will be somebody in Brazil that's got a Pico. When you start looking at and the people that buy Picos are passionate about it and they get involved and they learn it. Whereas I can tell you where there's 20 Snap-on fancy $10,000 tools that are used as a auto megastores code clearer. It's just an absolute waste of money, sold by fancy salesmen.
They are, super expensive, Snap-ons. I was talking to Gary before about it. Like, I feel, for example, not to bag on Snap-on, I wouldn't ever bag on anybody's product, but sometimes I feel like it doesn't do the job that you pay the money for. Like the shop down the road from us, we had a Ford Transit van, and the clutch was worn. It's like one of those semi-automatic things, and the clutch was wearing out to a point where it basically needed to be relearned, sort of keep it driving. And a Snap-on wouldn't even look at it, give Billy any data to it. I went and grabbed this old G-Scan 2 that's probably never been updated, straight in there, relearn everything. And I was like, I just wasted an hour trying to muck around with this Snap-on when an old G-Scan, and our scan tool is like pretty updated, probably not updated for maybe the past year. But the G-Scan 2 would, how old is that now? Like 5 years old or something?
Oh, it's probably a bit older than 5 years old, yeah. I do think it's one of those things, though. We're always going to get this. There's always going to be holes and steps in these tools. I had it recently with data, workshop data, and there's always a balance. Autodata didn't have Porsche, Motortech did. But they kind of complement each other. So, which one do you get? Well, get the one which you like the salespeople at, or whoever makes you happy.
Always go for the support. I think the support's the biggest key on
and that's where Snap-on should. That's where Snap-on should be at the forefront. And that guy's coming around every week. So when people say, "Oh, Snap-on overpriced crap," that guy's at your shop every week. If he's any good, is replacing your broken tools. He's not been too pushy. Yes, he's a salesman, but you want to be getting a good service. And if and good service is worth paying for.
Agreed.
Snap-on, Toolzone. I mean, there's a cracking Toolzone guy, Tool Force on the Northern Beaches. Wayne Hinsby, actually, I think he's on the Garage Network. He gives the service. People buy off him. Would people buy off him if it was somebody else? I don't know. But good service always wins.
Absolutely. Great. It's a bit of a. I mean, I feel for the Snap-on guys sometimes because, like the guys that are doing the trucks, they're trying to obviously make a living, and that is their job. And so I can't justify buying some of their tools. Like some of them seem very overpriced.
Yeah.
I have some of them. I have their flank drive spanners and their ratchets and stuff like that. We have their 1/2-inch electric torque wrench. Their special tools are awesome, but sometimes when it comes to, your everyday stuff like your pliers, some of them are really good and worth buying, but at the same time, some of them are expensive.
Yeah. I think especially when you're coming through, I think deciding where to spend that, that weekly wage is a bit more, there's better ways to spend it, in some cases. So, but again, like you said, there's some specialty stuff that they make which is excellent, which you don't really want to buy from anywhere else because it's specialized for our field. Yeah. But look, myself, I don't have a crazy amount of snap-on stuff. Got a few toolboxes full of tools, but not many snap-on stuff. A few specialty stuff, like you said. But yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
I've got a snap-on e-bike next to me as well. So I just thought I'd throw that into the mixer. I'll not turn the camera around. But, no, it is here. I brought it in at Christmas because we had a power cut and I couldn't get it in the garage as part of it there. And I've been getting told off ever since because I've not yet moved it because my garage is full. My garage is
put it under your bed. Jack will come pick it up with the rest of the
stuff. Yeah.
This garage is full of Picos.
Broken motorbikes, more like.
Do you know one of my favorite tools is, and that's an old Snap-on Vantage, and that's a 2-channel like old school oscilloscope. And
why do you like it so much?
I bought that before I had ever heard of Scanadana. I bought that. I give £100 for it. And it must have been like 2007, 2008. In my old age, I don't know. It could have been. I don't know. It was a long time ago. I've had it a long time.
So you bought it when you're like 40?
I think. I think actually what happened. Scanadana saw me using mine, and he bought one. and we've mentioned Scanadana's name, and the reason why it's not because I don't know. It's not a popularity thing. He's just so good at training and explaining things. I struggle taking certain things in, and he explains it in such a way that works for me. And there's a couple of guys that I like. I quite like Mario. Super Mario. He's really good. But Scanadana, I can absorb it. Until he's, sometimes he really does lose me. I have to watch it again, but that's why we all like Scanadana.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, I mean, I've watched some of his videos over and over, and I still don't understand them.
Yeah,
I just love that he can pull a whole car apart with vice grips.
Yeah,
like no fear at all.
I'm going to. I'd be careful calling him out there, Costa.
Not calling him out. I'm saying it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Like it's just he's very confident in what he's doing. That's what I'm trying to say.
I think what we should do. I think we should get Scanadana on podcast.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Oh yeah,
and you can have it out. We can have this discussion about. Can you teach me how to strip a car down with vice grips?
I'm saying it as a positive thing, as in like that's confidence. It's just confident of doing that. Like, you know what I mean? Because he just knows how things work and what they can do. It's just excellent. Yeah.
Hopefully, I can get to that stage where it just doesn't seem. It's hard to know when somebody's recording, like how many hours they've got. Buried into it. Obviously, some of his videos are like 5 episodes, and some of them are like an hour long each episode. So he must have, potentially 10 hours in that thing. Yeah. The good thing is that he, I guess, is probably paying himself at least.
To me, it's not just fixing the car. So he's got to go and fix the car. He's got to film it and make it look like the camera's pointing at the car. But he's then got to edit it. And I've done some video editing. And I don't know. I think I'd rather fix Peugeot CAN bus issues.
Careful what you wish for.
Yeah, I need to be careful. Yeah, there's going to be a Porsche Cayenne with CAN bus issues.
Oh no! Don't say that.
But kudos to all the guys that that provide learning resources for us on YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely.
We don't have to watch it, but I think we all benefit from having a bit of a look. Phil Forson, he's another resident YouTube star, as well as Rob Romano. I mean, obviously, Rob Romano's much better than Phil Forson. I'll make sure I tag Phil in.
I'm actually going to snippet that out. that exact moment. I'm just going to send it.
Yeah, I'm not scared. I'll be seeing Phil on Thursday, so I'm going to tell him.
Yeah, good.
Make sure he just listen.
Yeah, block your ears.
Well, hopefully, at some point your Premier is going to, allow you guys out to play, and we can all maybe catch up, whether we come to WA, which could be a plan, or you guys come for a road trip. I dare say you'll be itching to get out of WA, won't you?
Absolutely. Yeah, we were going to come, me, Rob, and Dan Armour, a guy that's a couple of hours south of Perth. We were all going to come over to the AA.
Yeah, awesome.
But just it was all a bit iffy at the time. We were talking like the end of January, and I think you guys were having a bit of COVID over there, and Mark McGowan's obviously shut our borders again. I'm pretty sure they just released a date somewhere in March. I think
that's what I was reading. Yeah.
So
we Jeff and I were like ready to go. We were 1 point.
Yeah. What, to WA?
Yeah.
We were nearly going to drive. We were very near. We were at a point where whose car were going in.
Yeah.
And obviously, we were going in mine. We were going to go to Melbourne, through Adelaide and across into WA.
Awesome. That'd be cool.
Yeah, but then the border said no, not for you, sir.
I think our missus all had something to say about it as well. But
what's that border?
Worry about that when we get back.
That's right. Just turn your phone off. You're right.
What's the point worrying about it now?
Yeah,
but
yeah, we could definitely tee something up.
Yeah, it'd be great.
There's plenty of centralized workshops over here, where everybody could sort of get up and meet a few people from the Garage Network, and that would be awesome.
I kind of feel like I've almost met you anyway. We've had a couple of chats now on the on the old Zoom thing, but it'd be nice to. You don't look. You say you're nearly 6 foot. I don't know. I don't know if you can see 6 foot there, but.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely not 5.
Oh, right. Can you make a mark on the wall and measure it just so we can say?
my head's nearly touching the ceiling.
Yeah. Don't even go there.
See, when you said that, you like leaned forward and you just looked bigger when you did that.
When you say my head was nearly touching the ceiling, Anyway,
on that note,
have you? So being you're a young guy, but really enthusiastic about the trade. Have you any advice for any people potentially thinking about becoming a tech or?
Yeah, so I was talking to my we got an apprentice at work. He's been there like 2 years, and he's sort of been struggling a bit with learning cars. And I feel like, in my personal opinion, it's like harder. It's getting harder for apprentices to like get into the field because their cars can be so challenging, like the way that even they're put together. When I first started, 10, 11 years ago, and we were having, little Corollas and Camrys, and, we could pull the heads off and learn, and it's not all easy. I mean, sure, we have some 4-cylinder stuff now, but, some of them are pretty complex at the same time. I mean, if you had a Volkswagen in your workshop, you definitely wouldn't be giving it to an apprentice. So all I can sort of recommend is, if you listen to this podcast, it's a great start. Any sort of research online, jump on the Garage Network Facebook page, automotive technician guys, they're great. Scanner Dana, like we said, Mario before. It's just on YouTube, there's just endless stuff. And it's never too early to sort of even if learning the basic stuff, there's plenty of guys there teaching the basics. You don't have to get deep into doing the diagnostic stuff. I still now need to go back and keep learning the basics. So just sort of, jump in 2 feet first, as they say, and just get into it. It's a good trade, and I think with the skill shortage that we have at the moment, if you can work and be a good mechanic or technician, you can set yourself up with a well-paid job. It's not just like, you're not just going to be getting base rate anymore. I think the tides are sort of turning in our industry, so it would be definitely a good industry to get into. That's for sure. I would stick to it. It's taught me a lot of things. I mean, we have like on cars, plumbing, electrical, mechanical, heaps of stuff. We can pretty much do anything around our house. That saves you a heap of money there.
There you
go.
Yeah, I agree.
I think I agree with all those points. Absolutely agree.
Yeah, it's a good trade. I mean, there's a bunch of, everyone is like so friendly in the automotive world. It seems, to a certain degree, you're always going to have some people who are grumpy. But like my best mate is a Sparky, and they have like a similar networking page, and apparently if you like ask a question on there, you just get like ripped to shreds, going like, you should know this, and it's just like, we should be all building each other up. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and he just pretty much repeat what he said. If you had a workshop who couldn't fix a car, and the customer then brought the car to you, if you built that workshop up and said, oh, those guys are like, pretty switched on, pretty good, but then you went and fixed the car, it makes you look way better than going, oh, yeah, those guys suck. Like, you shouldn't be doing that anyway.
That's right.
We should all be building each other up. And
I really think those days are disappearing, or I really hope they are. Yeah. I spent years and years. Oh, don't go to him. Oh, he's an arsehole. He can't fix it. It was just a massive dick swinging thing, and it just got so boring. The dark ages have gone now. We're not fixing Morris Miners anymore. We need to fix up and look sharp and act professional. If we want to get paid, dealer equivalent money. We need to act better than dealers. And I can tell, certainly from my experience, independent workshops treat their customers very, very well. There's always going to be an arsehole, and hopefully I don't meet those. But I deal personally with some dealerships, and I've had good and bad experiences. Lack of communication, and the list could go on. I definitely think the independence place is a good place to be in Australia.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's going to get better as well.
I hope so. I'm looking forward to it. Everybody, all my the customers are always saying like, "Oh, what do you think about EV? And you're not going to have a job soon, and this, that, and the other." And I'm going, look, I don't know if Australia could support a full EV. Like every car being EV. I don't know if that could be possible in Australia. It's too big.
Yeah, I think our infrastructure is not. I think we got a long road before we have to. Like, I think there'll be definitely an uptick, like it's happening, going off sales. Yeah. But I think it just means that people are going to have 2 cars.
Yeah. Well, you see, I don't get it. We were meant to run out of diesel in 1992.
Found more.
Look, I actually saw a car. I mean, look, this is probably going to be the longest podcast we've ever done here, but I saw a car on I like to watch a bit of TV in the morning with my coffee, and reply to some messages, and there was a car, a new electric car. I think it was a BYD. It's called Build Your Dream. It's mid 40, $44,000-$45,000. I actually thought to myself, "Oh, look, that looks awesome for the money. That's a good value car." I think they're going to suffer just like every other manufacturer. With no parts, they can't get to Australia. The idea is great, but in reality, that manufacturer needs to make a zillion of them. We can't get Hiluxes, which is the most popular vehicle one of the most popular vehicles in Australia. I'm not worried yet. I think we've got another 10 or 15 years before, at least. And
even then, they're still going to.
I might be wrong. I'm like, in 2 years, that Jeff, what an arsehole, look at us now.
but even then, they're still going to be fixed. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, yes, the butter jobs of servicing might sort of slowly start to disappear, but there'll still be jobs to be done, and as we're going now with the decline of skilled techs coming through and decreased numbers in people actually fixing cars. I mean, that can't hurt our money making capability. So
I'm still got brakes and tires.
Still got brakes and tires. Still got insulation.
The Joe Rogan podcast about when Elon Musk was on it, and he said, like, even if like today we stopped producing and selling petrol and diesel cars and just sold EVs, it would still take like 20 to 30 years to get rid of all of those cars. Right. Like most cars last that long. So, it's not going to be any time in the, very near future that we're going to be having any dramas, I don't think.
And I'm sure Mr. Musk will be quite an optimistic number. So it's probably double that,
Yeah, so, exactly. It's
and the other thing is, like, I'm not scared of change. I think at once upon a time I was like, oh God, EV, but I think some of these cars are great around the cities.
Mm-hmm.
Would a van that was electric powered be any good for me? Absolutely not. I'm not that market. Not because I like diesels or anything. I mean, obviously I do, but it'd be just no good for my driving style. I can't park it, where am I meant to charge it? I can't fit it in my garage. I'm meant to drag an extension lead out on the street, and
it won't work for everyone.
It's not going to work for everybody. And I tell you what does scare me a bit. Like, there's a big thing about these e-scooters with the, lithium-ion batteries, and I've seen some of these videos of these e-scooters blowing up and in people's lounges and stuff. How many underground car parks are in Sydney? There must be millions. Like, I don't know. Could you imagine, all these electric cars?
Well, isn't there?
Sort of on fire. I don't know. That's not.
Isn't there like a smouldering boat now somewhere in?
I believe so. Yes, I believe so.
Full of EV cars that they can't put out. Just left in the ocean for now.
Yeah.
Just smouldering away.
Well, I think that's the only way they can put the fires out. I think they have to submerge them in a vat.
That's what I read. Yeah.
But anyway, go EV.
so what you're saying is sink the boat.
We'll save the land, save the emissions on the land, out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, put it on the diesel shipping container. That'll sort it out.
So is it just that? Is it like, are we just shifting the problem?
Well, I remember, I don't know how accurate this is now, but I remember a while back reading for a Tesla and look, this could be wrong now, and this was a little while ago, but for a Tesla to have the same environmental damage as a Prius, so for them to come on par carbon footprint wise, it will take 10 years of Tesla being on the road with no issues compared to a Prius. Or whatever small Toyota car. It probably wasn't a Prius, it was some small Toyota car, because that's based on dig up to get the lithium out, based on travel of transport from lithium mine to wherever it's made, from wherever it's made to where the batteries are made, etc. A lot of transport involved in that. And the kicker of that is after 10 years, you probably need a new battery anyways. Yeah. So it's like, at what point is it really an emission saving, or is it just the next gimmicky thing? We don't know.
See, I've seen a car transport loaded with Teslas, and I kind of thought to myself, you know, you're kind of taking the piss a bit there. You should have a Tesla truck pulling your Tesla cars. You're promoting all this, EV, which I'm absolutely with, and I do think we need to do more. We all need to do more for the environment. But you know, there was a dirty grey Freightliner, I don't know, Kenworth truck pulling,
chugging along.
Guess what that was running on?
Biodiesel.
Biodiesel and piss. And I don't know. Come on, Elon. Stop going to the moon and make some electric wagons to pull your electric cars. Let's see how good they are.
Yeah, if we weren't going to get off, if we weren't getting kicked off Spotify from your last comment, that won't get us off.
Yeah, sorry. You can edit. You can probably edit out.
No, I'm not going to. Not going to.
Sorry, Elon. I do.
Sorry.
I'd love. Can I come to the moon with you?
Yeah.
If he reaches out, Elon, I want to come too.
Yeah.
I tell you who I'd love to have in the same room. I'd love to have Elon Musk and the computer guy from New York, Lewis Rossman.
No, Richard Builds and Elon would be great.
Yeah. I think that might end up as in a fight.
Yeah.
Obviously, Richard win.
I have reached out to Rich, but he hasn't gotten back to me. But I mean, if he wants to get on the podcast, he's more than happy to. Yeah. All right. We might wrap it up. It's almost midnight here in Sydney.
Sorry, guys.
No.
I'm like, 9 o'clock. I could keep talking.
I've got all night.
I've sat on this chair for so long. I kind of like, I need to have a walk around, you know.
Yeah. And I'm going to make my way underneath Jeff's spare bed to start stealing stuff.
Yeah. I'll see you soon, Jeff.
Yeah, thanks. So I'll hear you coming. You head that high to the close to the ceiling, apparently.
It's only a few steps for me over there.
That's right. Come in your Tesla.
This has been honestly. This has been great. I'd love to do this again, like in a year's time or whatever, or maybe.
I'm going to we're doing it when you fix your Commodore, so that could be a year.
So about a year's time.
I'm sorry, Jack. You are a valued member of the Garage Network, and I don't mean anything mean by that, but it was funny. So
I appreciate that. So I just want to say thank you to you guys and the Garage Network and anybody else who's listening to this that's helped me out. There's too many of you to mention, so I appreciate you all and thanks a lot for that. It's been great.
Lots of nice words, mate. Appreciate you too, mate.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers, Jack.
All right, mate. We're out.
All right. Let you go to sleep.
Right. See ya.
See you later, guys.
Bye.
Take care.
Don't forget to join our private Facebook page if you are an automotive technician, and also subscribe to our YouTube and our podcast channel. They are all called The Garage Network. Thanks, guys, and see you next time.